a death certificate goes viral. Not exactly your typical news story, right? But this past June, that's exactly what happened when Juliana Marins, a Brazilian hiker, fell hundreds of meters down Mount Rinjani in Indonesia. The world watched as rescue teams found her alive. But then, an autopsy report dropped that made absolutely no sense. And just like that, Brazil and Indonesia were in what the internet dubbed autopsy wars. Here's what happened. Juliana takes a devastating fall down this treacherous volcano. Rescue teams locate her. She's alive. Back in Brazil, millions follow every update, praying they can reach her in time. But they can't. 4 agonizing days of brutal weather and dangerous terrain pass before rescuers finally get to her on June 25th. Too late. Then comes the bombshell. Indonesian forensic doctor, Dr. Ida Bagus Putu Alit, releases his autopsy. Juliana died from massive internal bleeding and broken bones. Makes sense. But then he adds this mind-blowing detail. She died about 20 minutes after those fatal injuries. No signs of hypothermia. Wait, 20 minutes? But she was alive for 4 days. How does that math work? Brazil absolutely loses it. The government demands answers. The family demands a second autopsy. The internet picks sides. Team Brazil versus Team Indonesia, with accusations of negligence and cover-ups flying everywhere. But what if everyone was freaking out about the wrong thing? The crucial detail everyone missed was context. The autopsy wasn't saying Juliana died 20 minutes after falling. It was saying she survived about 20 minutes after her body began its final shutdown from fatal internal bleeding. Think about it. Your body is incredibly tough. You can be badly hurt and hang on for days, in shock, fighting, breathing. That's how they found her alive. But over those 4 days, with no medical care, the internal injuries finally became too much. The 20-minute window? That's not when she fell. That's when her body finally gave up the fight. Suddenly, everything clicks. The timeline, the rescue efforts, the autopsy, they're not conflicting. They're describing 2 different moments in her survival story. Here's what really gets you. The delay wasn't rescue incompetence. Mount Rinjani is brutal, and that week's weather made helicopter rescues impossible. But Indonesian officials told everyone, including the Brazilian embassy, that they'd gotten supplies to Juliana. Blankets, food, everything. The Brazilian ambassador passed this hope to her worried family. Except it was all a lie. Nobody had reached her. She was alone on that mountain the entire time. Imagine being her family. 4 days of hope, thinking she was being cared for, only to discover she died alone in the cold. So why did this explode into autopsy wars? Some massive conspiracy? Number. It was simpler and more human than that. When tragedy happens, we need a villain. We need someone to blame. Tragic accident compounded by bad weather doesn't satisfy us. It doesn't give us anyone to be angry at. That poorly reported autopsy became the perfect scapegoat, concrete proof that someone screwed up. Never mind that the medical findings were probably accurate. They were just misunderstood. Juliana Marins died on Mount Rinjani after fighting for 4 days. The autopsy that caused international drama was describing her final moments, not contradicting the rescue timeline. When the second autopsy results came back, they confirmed everything, adding that she died from multiple organ failure due to lack of medical aid. Sometimes the big revelations aren't about cover-ups. They're about poorly explained medical reports and our human need to make sense of senseless loss. The real autopsy wars weren't between Brazil and Indonesia. They were between what we desperately wanted to be true and what actually happened on that mountain. And honestly, that's a war none of us ever really win. Have you ever seen a news story blow up based on a misunderstanding? Drop your examples below and hit subscribe for more deep dives into stories that aren't quite what they seem.